If you're growing indoors, especially in apartments with 1 to 5 gallon fabric pots, you already know the struggle: fungus gnats, nutrient burn, weak growth, and expensive fertilizers that barely keep your plants alive. Indoor soil isn't like outdoor soil. It dries faster, collapses sooner, and loses microbes every time it's watered. That's why so many growers end up in a constant cycle of feeding, watering, and fighting pests. But after a lot of testing, tweaking, and well, a little bit of indoor gardening madness, there's one formula that solved all of these problems at once: a fungus gnat-proof superfood made from worm castings and fermented rice water. This is not your typical rice water trick that turns anaerobic and attracts gnats. This apartment-safe version is fast, clean, and packed with beneficial microbes that make your soil so biologically active that gnats have zero interest in living there. And the results? Plants growing like they're plugged into a battery. Why indoor plants struggle? It's not your fault. The indoor environment strips soil of everything plants rely on outdoors. With no earthworms, no decomposers, and no consistent moisture in the root zone, potting mix slowly becomes a dead medium. That's when problems start. Nutrient lockout, root stress, fungus gnat infestations, compacted, lifeless soil, weak growth, and pale leaves. Most fertilizer treatments only feed the plant, not the soil. But to keep an indoor plant thriving long-term, you need to rebuild the soil ecosystem. And that's exactly why worm castings and rice water work so well together. The two-ingredient system that makes soil come alive. When used separately, worm castings and rice water are helpful, but when you ferment rice water and extract microbial-rich worm goodness, they turn into a superfood that transforms dead potting soil into a living powerhouse. Even in tiny, apartment containers. Here's the breakdown of what each part brings to the table. Worm castings. The microbial engine. Worm castings aren't fertilizer. They're microbial gold. They contain billions of beneficial bacteria, fungal spores, enzymes, humic and fulvic acids, bioavailable minerals, and natural growth hormones. When applied as an extract, they colonize the soil quickly without adding excess moisture. Gnats hate biologically active soil, so they stay far away. Fermented rice water. The superfood fuel. Regular rice water is mild. Fermented rice water, when managed correctly, is a growth bomb. The key is to keep it aerobic, not sour or rotten. Fermented rice water provides fast microbial reproduction, root-stimulating enzymes, mild sugars, organic acids that break down old soil, and improve nutrient cycling. It basically wakes up every dormant microbe in the pot. Together, these two create a soil environment that gnats cannot tolerate, but plants absolutely love. Hey there, today we're diving into the fungus gnat-proof recipe that's perfect for apartment living, and guess what? No smell. This recipe gives you all the benefits of fermentation without that odor that usually scares indoor growers away. So, let's get started, shall we? Step 1. Make the base rice water. First, rinse half a cup of white rice. Then, add 1 to 2 cups of water. Give it a good shake until it turns cloudy. Now, pour out that starchy water. Alright. Moving on to step 2. Ferment it. But keep it clean. Dilute the rice water 1-to-1 with clean water. Add 1 teaspoon of unsulfured molasses. This part is optional, but it's pretty powerful. Cover it with a cloth, not a lid, and ferment for 24 to 36 hours max. It should smell slightly sweet or neutral, not sour. Now for step 3, extract the worm castings. Add 1 cup of worm castings to 1 liter of water. Stir hard for about 1 minute. Let it settle for 5 to 10 minutes, and then strain through a mesh or cloth. Remember, this is a quick extract, not a brewed tea, so it won't smell or attract pests. Finally, step 4, combine for the superfood. Mix 1 part fermented rice water, 1 part worm casting extract, and 10 parts clean water. This keeps it safe for those small indoor pots. And there you have it, the perfect recipe to keep those pesky fungus gnats at bay. How to use it indoors without attracting gnats. This is the part that honestly makes all the difference. So you want to use it only on moist soil. Pouring it onto dry soil actually increases gnat activity, which is definitely not what you want. Using it on already moist soil feeds the microbes, without creating those wet pockets where larvae just love to thrive. You should apply it once every 7 to 10 days. This keeps the microbial cycle active, but also prevents any anaerobic buildup. Add a worm casting top layer, just a thin half-inch top dress to block gnat eggs and double microbial activity. And of course, maintain good airflow. Microbes love oxygen, but gnats really hate it. So, what should you expect? Well, based on apartment-tested results, most people notice changes in just about 2 weeks. Leaves get darker and shinier, the growth rate increases noticeably, soil stops smelling musty and becomes earthy, fungus gnats disappear or never even take hold, roots thicken and start clinging to the pot walls, and plants become more drought-resistant. By weeks 4 to 6, your indoor plants will look like they're growing in a much larger pot. This recipe literally expands the biological capacity of your soil. Why does it work better than store-bought fertilizer? Well, chemical fertilizers feed the plant, but this recipe feeds the ecosystem that actually feeds the plant. In small pots, especially fabric pots, that difference is honestly everything. You get no burned roots, no salt buildup, no odor, no pests, no chemical residue, and no extra cost. It's honestly the closest thing to outdoor-style living soil you can create indoors, without, earthworms burrowing through your floor. Final thought here, you don't need fancy nutrients, bottled boosters, or expensive amendments. The secret is biology. When your soil becomes a thriving microbial community, your plants respond with explosive growth, and fungus gnats just don't stand a chance.